Guys, welcome back to Legends of My Own Mind. I'm sitting here with the lovely, the glamorous, the queen of Central Illinois wrestling, Stephanie King.
We've been running with the lions, lions. We've been running with the lions, lions. They can't run, they can't hide. We won't stop until they're down. We've been running with the lions, lions.
Stephanie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's last week. Sad. It's almost over. But we've talked about your whole wrestling career, your philosophies on the business, and how you learned about the business. It's been a great talk. But, like I said, I always think at heart we're all just fans,
Yeah.
and, to some extent, as individual as we may be, like those influences of the people we were fans of, still are fans of, they always come back to us.
Yeah.
So I always like to wrap up, just indulge in that a little bit, and putting together our dream Survivor Series team. And I like to do that too, because I like to do it seems to be different, because if I ask for what's your Mount Rushmore, it always comes down to the same four names. Same. Usually there's four names that will get named. Three of them will get named with maybe one variant. But when I say it this way, guys seem to kind of populate it with a little more subjectively, rather than just this guy and this guy, Hogan, Flair, and Rock. Oh, okay, obviously. But so, who's your dream Survivor Series team?
I put a lot of thought into this, and I have a lot of favorites. I was like, well, wait a minute, but what about this person? And what about this person? I like this person.
Yep.
Always The Rock, great personality, great wrestler. He's just all around. He's the absolute package.
Excuse me. Yep.
And
So when was the first time you saw The Rock? Do you remember?
I was watching old tape, and when he was, the people's eyebrow, the people's elbow.
So The Rock was really the first one for me. I mean, we talked a couple weeks ago. I didn't watch it all the way as I was a kid. I kind of remember Hogan and whatever, Ultimate Warrior, yeah. And then I was out of it until the Attitude Era, and I remember getting called over and being like, hey, you got, my friend Scotty Cash called me. He's like, hey, you got to come see this. Hogan's a bad guy now. They're doing this NWO thing. Rodman's like a wrestler. I was like, Dennis Rodman from the Bulls? I got to see this. So I would go over there, and he'd be channel flipping. So we'd watch a little bit of Nitro. We'd watch a little bit of Raw. We'd flip back and forth. And I remember seeing The Rock, and the instant I saw The Rock, I was like, who is that? And then it was like, okay, yeah, Hogan, Rodman, whatever. Who's The Rock?
And see, and I actually like The Rock better as a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, because his personality was just insane. And there was a promo that he did where the Hurricane was hiding in his locker. And that's what just did it for me. I was like, that's it. I'm a fan. I'm like, this is the best.
Yeah. That's he had a 1 month run with the Hurricane. That was good stuff.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And, and his innuendos, but.
Wow.
I want to say for my next pick, Randy Orton.
It's got to be, right?
Because I'm a fangirl.
It's got to be. So you first saw Randy Orton on a video game. Mm-hmm. Was it so I only remember the video games. Was it like a picture?
Yeah,
or was
it was just like a little picture.
So it's just like his face.
Yeah.
So that'd have been 2003. So that was still young, pretty boy Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you started watching to see him, did he live up to it? Was there how did that go?
Well, he was part of Evolution at the time, and so
right.
I really enjoyed Ric Flair, Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton as a group.
They were just too cool, right? Like
Yeah.
Evolution, we're gonna wear suits. We're the toughest guys. We're all gonna jump and beat everybody up together in our fucking suits. Like,
Yeah.
they're too cool.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, that helped, the little bad boy kind of added to
Yeah.
it. Well, and then I remember he went, he got the belt from Benoit. He wasn't at SummerSlam, and he was wearing those god awful tights. I hated the color of the tights. They were like a peach color.
Yeah.
This is how I remember things.
No, that's
And then that's when Evolution turned on him, and that's when he started they tried to make him a good guy. It just really didn't work out. But, I've got to meet him in person a couple of times.
Were you fangirling?
Oh, hard. So hard.
Are you still a Randy Orton fangirl, or have you kind of grown out of it?
I've kind of grown out of it.
Is that because you're older, or because he's kind of old and scruffy now?
And it's probably because he's old and scruffy, and the tattoos don't do it for me.
Oh, you don't like the tattoos?
No.
Okay. All right.
The whole sleeves, I'm just,
Yeah.
no, that doesn't do it for me.
I remember thinking the when he first got the sleeves done, I've never been like a tattoo guy, but I remember thinking the sleeves were kind of cool. But like now I feel like I see them close up and like I'm starting to notice things in them. And every time I
Yeah.
notice it's like something dumb, like there's like a dove on his elbow. I'm like, that seems...
It is just a mishmash of random things. I mean, they are, I know some of the things are important things to him.
Oh yes,
So,
yeah, and not judging that, just kind of like I'm just like that's weird, like almost like I need to see him like go through
and explain.
Yeah,
this is for this. This is for that.
This represents my mom, and this represents this match I had, and this is for this girl that I broke up with, and she can eat shit now. Then I'll be like, then I'm like in the know, and I'm like, all right, let's do it, Randy.
Yeah.
But when I'm just looking, I'm like, why is there a dove on your elbow? Whatever. Okay, number 3.
Number 3, I'm actually going to change this up a little bit and put Sensational Sherry in there.
Perfect.
Because, she's my idol.
Yeah.
I love her. I love everything about her. Her personality, the way she dresses, the way she looks, the way,
She's Sensational Sherry is such a...
She's an icon.
She is an icon, but she's almost like... It's a shame that... Like I guess I could say ahead of her time, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I also don't know that she would have fit in any other time. She could fit right in. Not that she couldn't fit right in with the women's evolution. Not that she couldn't have fit right in with Sable and Sunny in the Attitude Era and China. You know what I mean? Not that she couldn't fit in with that. I think what I mean is like she was molded by her time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a shame that the business wasn't ready for her to break free the way it was like when Sable and when Sable did, and even later when Trish and Lita
90s.
did. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like the business, the world just wasn't ready for her then, and that's a shame because she's sensational.
Yeah. Well, and plus, I got to go to WrestleMania when they were in Chicago, and I bought the package, and I got to see her do a Q&A session, and she was just...
Was that the year she went into the
Yeah, that was
Hall
the
of
year she
Fame?
went into the Hall of Fame, and I
Awesome.
got her signature, and she was just the sweetest person.
Yeah.
So that's a little more, icon, and, just
Yeah.
seeing her in person and just being, like, she was so grateful for the attention that she was just, oh my God, thank you so much, and I love you, and she was just super nice.
Awesome. 4th spot?
4th spot is going to have to go to... See, this is where I'm a little bit tied because Eddie Guerrero.
Okay.
He was, the he's just, I love the personality.
Yeah.
And then the cars that him and Chavo came out with.
Yeah. Are you a car girl?
they were, I mean, those were cool cars. It doesn't matter whether
for sure.
you are
Okay,
a gearhead
all right.
or not.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were just awesome.
Okay.
And the fact that it was always different.
Yeah.
It was always amazing. And, you know, and Eddie was a bad guy, but he was a likable bad guy. And then when he was a good guy, he became a lot bigger than what I think people thought he would be
Oh, for
as
sure.
a champion. He was really kind of a surprise breakout.
Yeah.
And that's what I really loved about him.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's funny, too, because he set a standard I don't think they expected anybody to set.
Yeah.
Because if you were, like after Eddie Guerrero, they spent, like, years trying to find another Latin star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
Oh, yeah.
I think they don't, like, not to diminish – well, not to do – I think they overestimated the fact that he was Latin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, and I think they really thought that was like, you know, because they tried with Ray, who probably I don't feel like Ray, even though Ray probably had more longevity than like he was as big a star for longer. I don't feel like he had those couple years that popped. Because like Eddie was huge. Like I almost feel like you could compare Eddie's couple of breakout years, like to Stone Cold's couple of breakout years.
Yeah.
You know, not quite to that, but with that same impact, you know, and that same suddenness, that same intensity. And I think then they spent like years like, well, we'll, you know, put Ray in that. And all due respect to Rey Mysterio, he wasn't Eddie.
It wasn't the same.
And, you know, they tried to do the same thing with Del Rio. They were like, oh, now we'll get that, you know, part of that demographic back. Like,
Yeah.
no, you guys are way underestimating what Eddie Guerrero actually brought to the table.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think they probably tried a little bit with Chavo too, and it just didn't.
Well, Chavo. All due respect to Chavo, he wasn't any of those other guys.
But, you know, I think they felt like, well, Chavo's related to Eddie, so it should be the same thing, right?
Right,
And
yeah.
we should be able to do this. And no, they may be related, but they're different people.
For sure. And Chavo's great in his own ways.
Yeah,
But,
like
yeah.
you know, he does his own thing, and it's great. It's just wasn't at the level that Eddie was at, especially towards the end.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So you said it was tough. There's kind of a tie there. Who's your alternate?
Old John Cena.
Old John Cena. What era? Like
when he was the bad guy.
okay.
Because
like Dr. Thugonomics
with the
stuff.
Like I loved him at that point. You know, he's also, you know, a really just good person altogether. But, you know, it's when he was struggling to be the bad guy.
Right.
And his battle raps were always hilarious.
They were
and
great.
his jerseys and his shades and his hat and, you know, it just
For sure.
it was entertainment. And, you know, and he really does do better as a good guy than he does as a bad guy because he's just not a bad person.
Right.
You know, he's at the point now where he could drop kick a baby and everyone would boo the baby.
Well, for sure, you know, and he's one of those guys, you know, when we talk about being yourself with the volume turned up, you know, like he feels genuine no matter what he's like. The Dr. Thugonomics stuff felt like an act.
Well,
you know, even
but
though
it
that
was
stuff,
so funny.
even though that stuff is what got him over, like it was great, but like that was his performance years, and now he's, you know, like that opened it up for him to be hustle, loyalty, respect, whatever. John Cena.
Yeah, but I like the old stuff because, you know,
Yep.
I like being entertained.
Right.
And so he was entertaining to me like that.
Yeah.
And I obviously have a thing for heels.
Women dig a bad boy.
That's true.
So who's all right? So I'm gonna throw you a little curveball. So you've laid out your Dream Survivor Series team with one alternate in case there's an injury. Who's gonna manage the team?
Oh, yeah, you did throw a curveball because Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Yes.
I guess he's more of a manager now.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
you know, and I mean, he did great with Evolution.
I was just gonna say it really shows like when you kind of became a fan that you would throw him out so quickly as a manager, because he really was more of a manager in Evolution, even though him and Batista were tag champs together. But he managed, you know, he was out there with Batista, he was out there with Orton, he was managing Triple H at the time. So it's interesting to see that kind of.
Well, and he's got the
you.
big personality that you need as a manager too. Like he can be down ringside and just adding to the story, or he can be in there with the microphone and getting everybody over.
Yeah.
So,
I really had a conflicted opinion of Ric Flair at that time because I felt like when he was on the mic, he was still the nature boy and he was shredding dudes and he just, it's that Ric Flair. But then I almost didn't like when he got in the ring because he was he still had some stuff that he did that was kind of hokey and like, he kind of looked, the flop, but he also got his pants pulled down a lot and he'd run around with his ass hanging out and just like, what's this old man doing? You know what I mean? So like I almost felt like there was a little bit of like, I don't want to see like I want to see him still be Ric Flair. I don't want to see him in the ring right now. So like I was kind of mixed.
I feel like that was kind of like going back to 80s wrestling though.
Oh, for sure.
And
For sure.
And like
I was also deep into like that was in the middle of my like I'm gonna do this years. So like I was really opinionated on what I thought the business should be like, what I thought it should look like in the ring, and Ric Flair was just a little outside that for me when he would get in there with some of the guys.
But again, entertainer.
Well, I mean the crowd. I never disputed that. For sure. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a blast. It's been a great 4 weeks, but now it's time to say goodbye. So before we leave, I'll give you the final word. Anything to say?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what do you want to leave off on? What do you want to leave my tens and tens of fans with?
Your tens and tens.
Yeah.
Well, now you have more because you have me on here.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously.
That's what they've been waiting for.
These will be my biggest episodes.
I mean, I've loved every minute that I've spent in wrestling. There's been frustrations. There's been stress, but I'll never change anything. And it'll always feel like home.
Yeah.
No matter what the name of the group is, as long as I've got my friends, it's home.
Yeah. It's one of the great things about, I talk about it a lot with the wrestlers because there has to be like a closeness to trust somebody you may have never met before to go out there and put your body on the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I have to get up and go to work on Monday.
Exactly.
I'm going to trust this random dude to pick me up, but it breeds a sense of family that is different from, anything else you can get into.
Yeah, there's definitely a bond with everybody, and when we have losses, we feel those losses deeply because they are family.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Stephanie, I know everybody will join me now in thanking you for coming on. I think now more than ever, I think you've always been such a good heel and people love to hate you and shout nasty things at you. But I don't think after these last 4 weeks anybody could disagree with me. You are truly a legend in my own mind. Thank you so much for all your years and all your time the last few weeks.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we could do this.
Oh, of course. Me too. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
All of it's been a blast. All 20. See, I'm ruining the finish now. I'm just dragging it out.
See, I'm the best.
You are the best.
I am the best.
I just don't want it to end. That's the thing. I just don't want it to end. So I'm just dragging. We'll just keep dragging and dragging it out.
Like, we're two funny people.
Oh, yeah. We'll
People,
just keep going.
they'll just keep watching.
We'll be running with the lions.